Tim made it without knocking one of them over. Well, I'm excited to be here, man. What a bunch of familiar faces. And I feel like I know, I think this is the first time that I have been in a room with so many people that I know, like that I have met in person over the years and everything else at any of these conferences I've spoken at. So it's really cool. I feel like many of you are family, like my man Tony right here, man. Tony, how long have we been working together, man?
2012, late.
2012. So, and you were just in Dallas a couple weeks ago, right? So, it's pretty amazing to see you guys in the hall and everything. Like, Matt, dude, you're one of my first clients too, man. I didn't even see that you were here. So that's awesome. Let me do this real quick before I get into all my stuff. So, hey, if you've ever bought anything from me, raise your hand. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. They don't call me the hardcore closer for nothing. I like that. But leave your hands up for a second. Play a game with me. So, if you close $1 million a month in mortgages, leave your hand up. That's what I'm talking about. Who closes 2, 3, 5? Who's still in the tribe that's got their hand up at 5?
Who?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who closes $10 million a month?
I'm quite through here.
Who's closed 20 in a month? Have you made it there yet? Definitely close, right? I know it, I love it. So, hey, that's exciting for me because I got into this business because I was forced to. And I lost my mortgage license. I used to do what you guys did, you know, and I actually enjoyed it until they started making us do paperwork. I enjoyed that part. But, you know, this path, I didn't really choose this path. I just kind of been down it, and to see the impact that it's made over all these people over the years is amazing. And really, the loan officer community is something that I personally belong to. I had a license number, right? So I was one of you guys, like for real, doing the loans in the front line. And you know, when I first got into this business, the mortgage world was what I knew, and I wanted to, like somebody mentioned it earlier, lead by example and only teach things that I knew. And it would be 2 years into me doing this before I even offered to work with the first real estate agent. And that was because a loan officer vouched for her. And so I'm excited. I've got some stuff that I'm going to share with you guys today that's specifically mortgage related, obviously because that's what y'all do here. And I don't ever get to just talk about mortgage stuff because I'm always talking to internet marketers and stuff these days. So the first thing I'd like to share with you guys is something I call catch. How many people have actually listened to that audio in the room? See about half the people good, so there'll be, I never tell the same story the same way twice, so it'll be something else. But here's what I want you guys to consider. I get to be the bad guy for a minute. But you guys' job's on the chopping block. I've been saying this shit for 5 years now, and it is. And each day that we get closer and closer to the chopping block, the time's coming. Now, I'm not trying to be Mr. Debbie Downer in here. I'm going to have a solution for you. Right? I'm going to break it down and build you up. That's how we do this. But I just want you guys to understand, what if you only have 5 years? Because my man Mike back here, he told me a few years ago, he was sitting in the living room of my house, and he says, man, I watched this special. And of course, I've watched it at this point now, so turn me on to it. He said, I watched this special to where it took us from the beginning of time to like 1940-something to actually double all the knowledge we had on this planet. But now we're doubling knowledge. At the time that we had this conversation, it was like every 11 years, and right now it's every 6 years. So we're getting twice as smart. Have you ever heard of Morse's Law? Right? That's how they keep building smaller computers that are faster, right? Because every year they can cut, or every time they put a new circuit board out, they cut it in half. Well, our knowledge is doubling. And because of our knowledge doubling, we've been able to create things like artificial intelligence. You guys have seen that Facebook's all about this. They've got virtual reality, artificial intelligence. I own a part of a company, I think John's in here somewhere, I own a part of an inspection and property scope company to where we actually go in and do 3D images of a house, and if they need to sell that house in the future, they won't ever have to do that again. Like, robots and artificial intelligence are in our business right now. Rocket Mortgage, right, for example, even though it sucks, but it's still in our business. And those things are only going to get smarter, because guess what? Rocket Mortgage gets to get twice as good every time they build a new version of it. And it's doubling its knowledge, and it's doubling its user base like everything else. Now again, I'm not up here to scare you guys, I'm up here to inspire you. Because here's the thing. What if I'm wrong? Awesome, right? You guys, I hope that you get to tell me, hey, I told you so, you idiot, right? But what if I'm right? What if you guys only have 5 to 10 years to get all the fucking money you can get from this game before half the people in this room are gone because they have to own their own version of Rocket Mortgage? Again, I have a solution to this, and I'll share it with you. But I'm going to give you some stuff today that's going to allow you guys to extract the most amount of money from the sales calls that you're on. Whether you take inbound leads, whether you talk to real estate agents, whether you go to networking events, or whether you take Facebook funnel leads, whatever the case may be, I'm going to arm you with my catch selling system. But here's the thing, I don't want you to knock the simplicity of it. I don't want you to leave here and not do it. Because here's the reason that I'm sharing this with you is because I literally want everybody in this room, I know 99% of you, I literally want everybody in this room to be successful. And I know what it's like to have to make a transition when your industry won't accept you anymore, right? That's all I knew was doing mortgages. Who has residual income coming in here? Fuck! Right? Like, let's just be real. Like, that's some shit. Like, I had to go meet with Frank Kern the other day, and he's like, why do you keep killing what you eat? Only eating what you kill. You have all these one-off, one-time buying products, man. He's like, where's your residual income? First thing I said, well, shit, I was a loan officer, man. That's all we do. We don't know nothing about residual. That's for freaking insurance agents, the guys that bug us in the freaking office all the time. Right? But it's something to think about. What if? So I'm going to arm you today with some futuristic thoughts and a sales process that will allow you to close as many deals that you can possibly close right now and put your money back. That's my fair warning, right? So, all right, all the seriousness aside. So CATCH is my 5-step. It's an acronym because what internet marketer and sales trainer can't have a 5-step acronym that works in the sales industry, right? That's like non-existent. If I didn't have that, it couldn't be this. And when I generate leads, I don't like cold calls. I don't like cold calls. I don't like door knocking. I live in Texas. You knock on somebody's door, what are you doing on my property, right? Like, it's just not a good idea. And I don't like really talking to people who don't want to talk to me because I think it's a waste of time. It's not an ego or a narcissistic deal, but if you don't want to talk to me, out of respect, I don't want to waste your time, and I would hope that you, if I didn't want to talk to you, you wouldn't waste my time either, so I don't like bugging people. And so I've always worked on inbound leads. And a lot of you guys might think that you go out and prospect stuff like that, but a referral is an inbound lead. An introduction from somebody else or an email asking you questions from your website or whatever, those are all inbound leads. And that is the future of mortgages or any business, right? People are doing their research, and then when they're ready to buy, they're filling out information online, and they become an inbound lead because then at that point they've committed and said, hey, I want to talk to somebody that's a professional in this manner. Up until then, people do the research mode, right? Because they know when they run into a loan officer or a car salesman or insurance salesman or whatever, that we're a salesperson, the likelihood at that point they're going to get closed, right? So people do all this, they do all this research, they become online leads looking for an expert to advise them. Well, the tendency, especially for your loan officers, when someone says, hey, what's your rate? Let's go, oh, well, you know, it's 2.75 on our, and we got this, that, and the other. Or the tendency is, well, let me get all your documentation and everything else in, right, and we can tell you this. And then people are like, well, you can't just give me a quote. That always weirds them out, right? Like you used to. Last time I got my house 10 years ago. Well, that shit changed. Thank Barney Frank for that shit. So, but what happens is a lot of us don't look at those as inbound leads, but they are. Right? If someone sends you a referral, someone sends you an email, if someone's asking you a question, those are inbound leads. And I have a process called CATCH that I use every time. And for those of you that haven't learned this yet, but have bought my stuff, you're going to go, son of a bitch, that's how he got me. And that's kind of the beauty of it, right? You don't have to be some aggressive, hardcore closer personality type in order for this to work really efficient for you, and actually the people on the other end of the process to really enjoy it, because that's what it's about, right? We're here to serve people. We're here to make sure people aren't living in U-Hauls. We're here to make sure that people don't miss the closing dates on this, that. We're here to make sure that snowflake real estate agents don't get their feelings hurt. You're exempt. But, you know, traitor. Hey, but it pays more and you get to play dumb all the time, right? It's a fucking dream job. And no responsibility. Rex, I have to say, you know, you came from our side, you know. So. All right, so CATCH works like this. Someone reaches out to you and they say, hey, what's your interest rate? Or hey, I got your name from Matt, or whatever the case may be. The first thing that I always do is I say, awesome, I love that person. Or hey, I'm so glad that you reached out to me. And what I do is I set this, and that's the beauty of this CATCH that I'm going to teach you. I set a process of psychological triggers in order that are completely ethical. This works in other areas too, right? Dating or anything else you want to use, but it's completely ethical. And I set a triggers in motion because isn't it weird how we have to talk people into doing what's best for themselves? Isn't that weird? Like, you know, somebody's like, well, I got a lower rate at Bank of America, and they think you're begging them because you need the money, and you're begging them because you don't want their life to get screwed up, right? You don't want them living in a U-Haul truck or underwriting, getting, you know, 45 days backed up and them not making their deal. You know, we get frustrated with that stuff. There's probably a bunch of Bank of America here, people go, fuck that guy. I get it, it's cool. So when someone reaches out, first thing that I'm going to say is, if it's a referral, I'm going to say that's awesome. Or if they ask me for, we'll just in this case, we'll say, hey, what's your interest rate? Well, I'd love to tell you that. First of all, where are you located at? And they say, oh, well, I'm in Detroit, Michigan. Oh, perfect. You know what? I've worked with Rex. He's over, I know you're not in Detroit, but I've worked with Rex. He's over in Detroit, man, and we've got and we actually did a mortgage for him not too long ago, and everything worked out perfectly. I'm glad that you're here because I've worked with somebody in the area that you're in before. Right? Because we're showing them social proof up front. Because oftentimes people are scared of bankers. They're intimidated. We control all the money. They're nervous. We know what, hey, dude, we know what's on your bank statements, right? Like all them Pornhub charges. We see that shit, right? We know that. Like we see all that stuff, right? That's a recurring cost, sir. And so I show them that there's someone similar to them in their geographic area that has gotten that has obtained the results that they desire. Because they're nervous. They're like, can this guy even get me a loan? I just did a mortgage with Mike. Mike's been one of my best friends. We're business partners and everything else. And hell, I was nervous. And I did this business. And I was nervous the whole time we were going through that, right? A lot of that has to do with being self-employed. You guys know how all that is. But I mean, it was a nerve-wracking process. He actually sent me in IRS at 8 in the morning to get my shit stamped. That's how bad it was. He didn't have a choice, though. That's just how it worked, right? And so people are nervous. So when you show them that someone in their area has gotten this similar results to what they desire, and it's important geographically. Now, if Brian says he's in Jacksonville, and he says, hey, what's your interest rate? I say, hey, where are you located at, Brian? He says, oh, I'm over in Jacksonville, and I haven't done a loan for anybody in Jacksonville. I'm not going to lie to Brian and say, oh yeah, hey, I just did a loan for a guy over in Gainesville, the next city over, and it went flawless, man. You guys have a booming economy, and the appraisal worked out perfect over there, right? So I'm showing them results in advance. Not too much, just a little bit of results in advance. The next thing is I'm going to do what the first part of catch is C, and that is I'm going to clarify why they became a lead. Right? If they became a referral, they became a lead, they reached out to you, there's a reason there. And oftentimes, we're stuck in the, oh, they're wanting a low interest rate. Right? Oh, they want a mortgage. Well, I got a news flash for everybody in the room. It's like nobody wants a mortgage. Nobody wants a mortgage, and nobody wants insurance. That shit is forced down our throat if we want to get what we really want. You see, nobody wants a drill either. What they want is a hole or a tool that can fix the shit that's broke around their house. Right? Nobody wants a drill. They want the results that the drill produces for them. Nobody wants a mortgage. The mortgage is the means to an end. The end result of a mortgage is that you live in a house. Right? So you guys have to understand that up front. First of all, they don't want to have this 30-year noose around their neck where they're owing money and they're nervous and everything else. So you ask them up front, hey, what's your interest rate? Oh, perfect. Where are you located? Oh, I'm in Oregon. Awesome. I've done a loan for a guy named Tony over there. Everything worked out perfect. The market's booming. Let me ask you this. What made you decide to reach out to me? And so that's clarifying why they became a lead. That is the most powerful question in sales. What made you decide to reach out to me? Here's why that's powerful. One of the hardest things to do to get a human being to do is to make a decision. Don't believe me? Ask your significant other what she wants for dinner tonight. Right? And matter of fact, people will flock to bad decisions in a faster manner than they'll flock to good decisions because people are used to making bad decisions. Because let's face it, you guys are all smart. The majority of the world's full of morons. Right? Get rich quick scheme, big dick pills. They fall for all that shit. I got a buddy who sells $150 million a year in big dick pills. The back of Foreign magazines. Oh, I'm sorry, that was how much he made. He sold like $400 million worth last year. There's idiots everywhere. Don't you think at that word people be like walking around with wheelbarrows and shit? Jesus, come on, guys. If it worked, we'd all know about it. So anyway, I thought instead of educating you, I'd just tell a bunch of jokes. So you're going to clarify why they reached out. We're going to say, what made you decide to reach out to me? And the reason why that's such an important and the most powerful question of all of sales is because humans are scared of making a decision. But see, we just nonchalantly and like in a keto, very passive way, ask them what made them decide to reach out to me. Anything that comes out of their mouth after that is an admission that they made a decision which I'm involved in. And that's huge. Because we're going to have to get them to make a big decision at the end of our mortgage process, correct? We're going to have to get them to make a multi-hundred, sometimes multi-million-dollar decision at the end of the process. And we know getting a human being to make a decision is hard, so we want to go ahead and psychologically pass that up front. So let's go through this, and we're just to see. But let's go through this real quick and understand that we've got them social proof that someone like them in their geographic area has obtained the results that they desire, and then we've asked them what made them decide to reach out to us, and when they say whatever it is, there's a decision that's already been made subconsciously with me as the answer, or as you as the answer out of the phone call. The next step is there's two types of people that when you say, hey, what made you decide to reach out to me? There's the long-winded type, which are my favorite. Well, it all started back in 1985. My mom, my dad, they split up. And I've lived in a Pinto for 2 years, was surfing on the coast of California, and I had this epiphany. They start telling you their life story, right? You ever have that say, hey, well, what are you looking for a house? Well, here's the deal. My Aunt Margaret. They start telling you their whole story. Really, those are my favorite people because I get to listen. I get to be a good salesperson. I get to listen, and I get to extract clues and take notes. Like, oh, okay, well, this is an emotional point. Okay, this is a pain point. Okay, this is something she's trying to escape. Okay, this is something they need, and I'm conscious and listening. The tendency of the average salesperson is we say, what made you decide to reach out? The person gets to talking for a couple minutes is to interrupt them and try to pretend like we're smart no more than them. Right? You guys ever see that happen? The customer's talking, the prospect's talking, and somebody interrupts them. I never do that. Let them finish talking. Nobody likes to be interrupted anyway, so you might as well let the prospect tell you all of their problems and you do some CSI on there. So what's the second type is the person who goes, just shopping rates. They're very guarded, right? They're scared. They think if they meet a salesman and they let their guard down, they're going to get ripped off. But what's funny is we know that's impossible. Even if you wanted to give somebody a super high interest rate, you can't these days. There's all these protection mechanisms in place, just like if I own a stock of Amazon, it's like $800. If I wanted to sell it for $1,000, even though somebody might even be willing to pay it to me, they won't let me do it. You know, it's just like an interest rate. Even if they offered 10% interest rate, your company in the CFPB or whatever is not going to allow it, but the general public doesn't know this. So they keep their guard up because they think, oh, this person might rip me off. Bankers are evil, ending the Fed, like all that kind of stuff, right? And so they put their guard up. But those people are okay too. You can break their guard too, and that's by setting the expectations, which is the A part of the catch, which is assign their mind to an agenda. You see, I'll give you an example. If you go into a doctor's office, which I had to yesterday, well, this is hilarious. I got to tell you guys this story. We go into the doctor's office. Don't tell nobody, just keep it a secret. But like my significant other's got another boy on the way, right? Yeah. And so I'm building my own goddamn photo over here. 3 boys. And so the boys in the back of my team better watch out. Jackson, I'm coming for y'all jobs. But so we're at the doctor yesterday, and I'm at the gynecologist or whatever the hell, the woman doctor, right? And there's vagina dialogues or monograms or whatever the hell they're called. Diagrams. There we go. I was close. I was one word off and mixed the two together. Anyway, they're all over the walls. There was even one that was like sitting on a deal, and I'm all like playing with it and stuff like that. Like, it's clear. I'm like, oh, that's where they're at, right? So anyway, I'm telling Amy, and we're at the doctor. I didn't realize there was a doctor in the damn room. I didn't realize that part, so I was talking. I was like, I've learned more about a woman's anatomy and a vagina than in the 10 minutes that I've been here than in the 30 years I've been having sex, right? And I didn't know the doctor was there, and he's like, you should look around a little bit more. She's all I've ever been with, Doc. Never mind the other kids. And so anyway, when you go to a doctor's office, here's what happens generally. You go in there, and they hand you the thing, and they're like, fill this out. And you go over and you sit down and you fill it out and you bring it back to them, and they're like, okay, cool, thank you. If you're lucky, they say thank you, right? Like in the South, they say thank you sometimes, but I can guarantee you guys up north, they're kind of like, sit down, shut up, and don't bother us, right? And so, anyway, so you go to the doctor, they give you this, they don't give you any timeline, and then you just sit there. It's going to take 20 minutes, take 10 minutes, I'm going to be out of here today, do I need to call in and tell work I'm not coming? And you go up and like, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm scared to go ask them, because then I feel like if I go ask them, they're like, oh, you bugging? We put his file on the bottom. This guy can just wait a little bit longer, right? I'm always worried that they're going to do that. And so you get nervous and you get anxious in there. You're like, shit, man, I don't know if you're like me. I'm like, I'm ready to go. After about 10 minutes of sitting anywhere, I'm ready to go. And it makes you anxious. But what if you walk into the doctor's office and the doctor gave you, or the lady at the front sliding door gave you the piece of paper, said, fill this out, should take you about 5 minutes. And then you'll sit down for about 10 minutes while the doctor's finishing up with the patient that he has right now. When he's done with that, he'll come down the hallway. It'll be that third door on the left. He'll walk you back. You'll be back 4 doors, and by about 30 to 45 minutes after that, you should be done with the entire exam. We'll have you checked out, we'll take your money, and have you on your way. You wouldn't be nervous anymore. You'd be like, just waiting for 45 minutes, right? You would know that you would have the expectation set for you. You know what to expect, so there's no anxiety, there's no mystery, there's none of that stuff. Well, we do that as salespeople. We just get on the phone and just start, and they're like, when's the sales pitch coming? How long is this guy going to freaking ramble about bond markets and interest rates and all this shit that I don't understand? It's true. The public doesn't understand that. And so they get anxious, right? Oh man, he sounds really smart. And when people sound really smart, they tend to charge more than everybody else, right? They start going through all these. I've talked to some dumb lawyers that don't want any money. You talk to a smart lawyer, you're like, oh shit, this is going to cost a lot of money. So it's the same thing with you guys, right? Y'all start explaining all this stuff. They're like, dude, he's smart. He's going to be expensive. Shit, right? They start getting nervous and anxious. Well, instead, the A is assign their mind to an agenda. Here's how you can alleviate all of that nervousness. You just say, hey, okay, awesome. Well, thank you for answering that. And because you said, hey, what made you decide to reach out? You're going to go through all that, right? Say, hey, thank you for answering that. Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to take an interest in you. I'd like to ask you a few questions to see what's going to be the best fit for what we have over here. And all I ask is that you answer these questions honestly with me, because we're going to verify them, because you guys are. In the meanwhile, while we're going through this, if you have any questions for me, feel free to interrupt me and ask me, and I'll answer those questions honestly as well. And at the end, we'll decide what program's best for you, and we'll move forward. Does that sound fair? Then all of a sudden, they know what to expect on this. They're like, oh, he didn't mention a sales pitch ever. And he actually took an interest in me. He said that he's going to ask me questions to find out my situation to see how he can best help. It changes the perspective, and they know what that outcome's going to be, because the outcome's going to be, and when I'm done asking you with questions, I'll make a suggestion on what's going to work best for you, and you can decide if you want to move forward or not. Does that sound fair? Now, all of a sudden, they're not worried about rates or anything else. All of a sudden, they're like, okay, this guy's going to ask me questions. But if you say, I need you to fill out a loan application, the first thing they go is like, well, shit's getting formal, man. This is our first date. Right? I mean, they go, oh, you want social security numbers and shit already? Like, hold on a second. I'm still trying to shop 10 other banks and ruin my credit score to where I can't even get the rate that you originally promised me anyway. Couldn't resist. I'll never forget that story. That's like one of your probably most viral posts on day was. So we're going to assign their mind to agenda, tell them we're going to ask them some questions, find out what's going to be the best fit for them. And the next thing is T. We're going to talk them through their pain. We're going to do that by doing exactly what we just told them we're going to do. We're going to ask them some questions. And so in the big job, they give you one of two sort of answers, the short one or the long-winded one. When you asked them what made you decide to reach out, they gave you some clues, unless they just said, hey, I'm shopping rates. But they gave you some sort of clue to what's going on. Because let's think about this, and if you've never listed moving motivated factors, you need to do this today. Like, this would be the best exercise you'll do that I can give you today. What are the reasons why people would be motivated to even get involved with you guys? Expansion of family, shrinkage of family, job loss, house appreciation. Hey, our house is worth a whole lot more. We want to sell it and buy a bigger house. So equity appreciation. What else would be relocation on their job? Divorce would be another big one. What else? They got, what do you call it? I've never had one. When you get less money at work, right? Or you get a demotion or whatever. I've never had a problem. They could get a raise. They could finally have the ability and the money saved up to move into their dream neighborhood. It could be a status symbol. But I promise you this, as a person who's had to move 3 times in the last 4 years, nobody wakes up in the middle of the night and goes, let's pack our shit in boxes and go somewhere else. All of it. Right? Nobody does that. Nobody does that. What happens is, you're like, yeah, we're going to get a brand new house, and then day 2 of packing boxes. Boxes, man, I don't even want the silverware. We'll buy new plates when we get there. Oh, y'all don't do that? That's just me. So, I'm a little high strung. But what we're going to do is we've signed their mind to agenda. We're going to talk them through that pain. We're going to figure out which of these motivating factors. And I'll see if you'll write down all the motivating factors that would motivate somebody to refinance or buy a new home. It might be debt, it might be student loans, might be sending their kid off to college. There should be 25 or 30 good reasons that you are looking to identify as you're asking those questions. Which one of these reasons are they going to want to move? And that's what you're looking for while you're asking them questions, right? We're going to ask them questions by signing their mind to agenda. We're going to ask them questions. Now we've got to talk them through this pain, and we know that that pain exists because of one of these moving motivational things. And so you're going to do exactly what you're going to ask them questions. You say in the beginning, let's say they mention their daughter. Well, you know, our daughter's moving off to college. We're thinking about getting a smaller house. We're thinking about maybe selling ours. We want to get qualified for a mortgage first. Maybe get a talker that tells you the story. Awesome. Well, what college is your daughter going to? Oh, well, what's she going to be? And walk them through that process. So you're looking to move in 30 days, but your daughter starts college in 45 days. That's going to be a lot of moving and frustration. Well, here's what I can do, right? As you ask them questions and uncover what that real pain is, you get to offer them a solution, which is where the next comes in, and C is close them. Give them a call to action. It's like you ask them questions and they reveal that the reason why they're moving is a divorce. You're like, okay, well, here's the deal. First of all, do you have a divorce attorney? If not, let me introduce you to mine. He's a great referral source, and I'd like to return the favor. Let me introduce you to mine. Second of all, let me get you with my real estate agent that specializes in divorce cases, because chances are you and your significant other are going to have some disagreements as we're going through this. But here's also the thing, it's going to be easier for both of you to work with one real estate agent and one mortgage person and let me deal with all of your stuff to where you're not going to have to deal with as much pain and everything else. I'll make sure that you get treated fair. I'll make sure they keep her documents separate from you. We'll make sure everything goes in line. And I know divorce is a rough thing, but I'll make it as smooth as possible for you on the financial side. Then all of a sudden they're not worried about interest rates. They're like, Tony gives a shit about my well-being, and Tony actually wants to help make this miserable moment in my life less miserable. Or let's say it's the flip side. Kids graduated, the parents are big party animals, they want to sell their house in the suburbs and move back to the penthouse, which is Amy and I's goal once we get our kids, I almost say get rid of the kids, once we get the kids out of the house, right? That's going to be our goal as well. So that motivation is to make that happy moment of their life the happiest moment of their life. Now there's two things I want to mention before I get back into the closing, is when you're having the conversation and asking people questions, there's a surface level question and a subsurface level question. Surface level questions, we're looking for another house. What kind of, what area are you looking for? Right? That's like a surface level question. It's not deep. So a subsurface question would be, so what happens if you don't get the house that you want and it falls through? Do you have a backup plan? What happens if you don't close on time? What happens if your daughter doesn't make her move, or you don't sell the house in time to pay her first month's tuition for college because you're using the equity from your house? What happens in that scenario? That way you're instilling doubt on them, not from you, but it's like, hey, when you come back and you get to be the hero, there's like all this doubt of shit that could go wrong, but then you get to come back and be the hero and close them and say, listen, I'll make sure none of that happens. I've got 15 years experience in this business. I've done 1,000 transactions, people just like you in your area, where I told you in the beginning, I can make this as smooth as possible and make sure we do not miss tuition on your daughter's deal. You have my word on that, and I'll also make sure that I get Dustin Black with Black Tie Moving and his crew over there to, he paid me to plug that. Is he in here? No, I'm just playing. He's just a good friend, but when I always say moving, I always say his company, but I'll get my movers over there to make sure that you're taken care of and everything else too. You're looking for that subsurface reason, right? Like I've had people, when I did loans, like, dude, I got cancer, they're gonna sell my house, pay for these medical bills. Well, here's the thing, we're gonna get you the most money for your house possible, and then I'm also gonna do some research on your behalf to see if we can find some really good doctors in the area now that you're gonna have an influx of money, because I want you to be safe, I want you to be happy, I want you to be healed. You think that person asked me what the interest rate was? No, man, just send me the paperwork. Here's my social security number, if my credit matches, just send me the paperwork, I need your help. But oftentimes we won't even find out these true motivating factors because we don't ask them. We get so caught up in the bond market was awesome today, you should totally lock. To the normal person, myself included, what the fuck does that mean? Bond market, all I know is stocks. Do they even still sell those? Aren't those things that the city puts up, municipal bonds or whatever, right? Like, the normal person doesn't understand it. You guys come in here and listen to Barry and understand everything he's saying. That shit was Greek to me. I had to step out back and clear my mind a little bit. Right? He's way too damn smart for me. And so then after you've made the call to action, it's like, hey, here, I can help you. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how you'll never have to deal with that underlying problem that you have. And here's how we'll make everything work. In a perfect world, they're like, okay, cool, take my money. Let's go. Right? Here's your commission check, send me the paperwork, whatever you got to do, let's roll. That's not always the case. Because what I say in the beginning, people run from good decisions, damn it. They really do. It's sad. And we're so used to making dumb decisions that they run to the dumb decisions. That's their norm. They actually become, it's crazy, it's actually, I don't want to get too psychological on you, but people actually get addicted to the peptides that pump out in their brain towards making bad decisions. Because a lot of us are self-deprecating. Most of us in this room didn't grow up with like a silver spoon in our ass in like the rich neighborhoods. Some of us did. Not us, some of y'all, not me. But like some people in the room did, but most of us are a little bit damaged, right? So we do a little damaged, self-damaging shit to ourselves. So anyway, when you give somebody the call to action and they decide not to take it, right? They say, well, you know, I still want to shop around. That's where most people, they start going into panic mode. But there's the H part of catch is help them make that decision. And there's a few things you can do. I like to use urgency. See, back in the day when I wrote mortgages, you could give people free shit, and RESPA wasn't like the all-seeing eye like Facebook, so they didn't like always look over you. I'm not saying violate laws, but I'm saying you could help somebody out, or hey, let me pay for your move, or let me, you know, pay for your appraisal and stuff. And I understand that's a real gray area now, and I'm not recommending anybody do that unless you consult with an attorney or whatever the hell those people are that you need to talk to. What I am saying is there's something that you can do to urge them, and if you've done your job right and you've listened and asked the right questions, then they'll let you know what that is. And oftentimes for me it's urgency. Well, here's the deal. I can help you get this done in 14 days. But I need you to get me this paperwork tonight, and we need to start this process immediately. Because if you wait 3 days shopping rates, A, it's going to lower your credit score because other people are going to pull it, and the rate that I'm telling you now is not going to be guaranteed because you're shopping around. The other thing is, if you wait 2 or 3 daes, then what if somebody else waits 2 or 3 days? The next thing you know, we're a week behind, and this is a very delicate situation. Especially if somebody's refinancing, oftentimes you guys take it as like, you know what, we'll close it this month, whatever. But shit, they got a credit card bill they're about to be late on. You know, they got some reason that they're needing to skip that or cash out, or they've got something that, you know, maybe a money-making opportunity that they need to put that money on. So I always give them a sense of urgency. But if you've asked the right questions, they'll let you know what it is that would be that motivating factor for them. I tell you what, if you have this conversation with the people that call in, you'll talk less about rate and more about doing business than you've done prior to you see Chad, your name threw me up over there. So prior to doing this, so I've been using this conversation I've been selling for forever, but it's been 4 years that I came up with the actual acronym and decided to be a leader and actually do it myself. And how many people in this room have had that conversation with me and ended up buying stuff from me? Quite a few. Right? It works. You guys are smart people. Imagine what happens to the dumb people that call me. Just kidding. I don't fuck with dumb people. But it works, and you guys know that if it works on somebody smart, like Tony and Brendan, then it's going to work on the people that have no idea how your business rolls. And it's going to be powerful, and it's something that you can, here's the best part about this, it's something you can duplicate and teach your team. I didn't just sit up here and spit out a bunch of bond market rocket science and stuff. I just told you 5 steps that'll make it easier for you to close sales, which allows you to go back and tell the people that are hitting the phones, your ISAs or your assistants or whatever, it's like, hey, when your junior LOs, like, hey, when the call comes in, use this 5-step process we call catch. We clarify why they became a lead. We're going to assign their mind to an agenda. We're going to talk them through their pain, and we're going to call them to action, and we're going to help them make a decision. And it's real simple. It's not scripted. It doesn't make them feel scripted, so it still gives them the free flow to feel like a salesperson and everything else. But I will tell you, as a person who has, like, not $2 million in mortgages, but $2.5 million in sales, cash money, not commissions, like cash money this year using that conversation. My guys in the back, they use the conversation every day. Last month, they closed $164,000 using that conversation with smart people. It works. I closed my last year doing mortgages, I closed 183 loans from inbound leads generating funnels. We didn't have a catchy acronym for it, but having that same conversation with people still works today. I have people message me, even this morning, but I have people message me every day. It's like, that catch changed my life. Holy shit, my life is so much easier. I'm not on the phone trying to think of what to say next and all this other stuff. I'm methodically asking questions. Here's the best part, we'll move on to the next thing, but here's the best part about catch 2. The more you do it, the more you know what to look for in their end, and you can almost do it on autopilot. Man, I could be drunk, high, halfway asleep, and still be able to go through this process because I've done it so many times. I know what questions to ask, and I know what they're going to say, right? I don't endorse any of you guys Mayans here, so I got to be on my good behavior. So I don't endorse any of you guys drinking at work or any of that, right? I'm trying to reduce my F-bomb too, so I like Maya and Bitsy here. Oh man, this is really putting some stress on my act up here. Tone it down a little bit. So the next thing is Fish asked me to talk to you guys about, how much time I got?
You got like 25 to 30 minutes, whatever you want.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So Fish asked me to talk to you guys about building a brand. And over the last, I started hardcorecloser.com in 2012. And I didn't know what the hell I was going to do with it. And about a week later, I thought, well, you know what? I'll call local loan officers in my area and I'll go shoot videos. Which Jake Coker, Jake, are you here? Nope. Jake Coker sent me a message yesterday. He goes, or it was last week, he said, man, I shot all 5 of these videos, man, and they're working. People are doing it. I was like, imagine that. Right? Imagine like they actually still work all this time later. But I would shoot 5 videos with loan officers, and I used hardcorecloser.com to store those videos as testimonials. Those 5 videos, just in case you're wondering, was thank you, I've got your loan application. Your loan is in we need the following documentation from you. Your loan is in processing. Your loan is in underwriting. Your loan is clear to close. And thank you for doing business with me. If you know anybody who would like to go through the same exact process, you can depend on my videos, my automation, everything else. So 6 videos that you make that make your life easy. 30-second videos. You don't have to be a professional or anything like that.
That's in our group. It's in our group.
Yeah, the book's free. The book is in the MFBA LO group. It's under the files tab. I put the book and the scripts and stuff back there for you guys. But I wasn't sure what I was going to do with this brand, right? And I like it, and you guys probably like it. It's like Hardcore Closer. But guys like Maya that own the company, they're like, dude, man, my CPA is going to trip when they wonder what kind of porn organization I wrote this shit out to. I won't name his name, but he's in here. But I had one of my clients go through a divorce. And at the lawyer table, right, little lawyering table, whatever that is, mediation table, the lawyer goes, and we got you for $30,000 in some kind of porn site. And he's like, Hardcore Closer is not a porn site. They thought he had some kind of sick and weird twisted, like, which he does because he works with me, but like, it was not about sex, right? So, and so I built this brand over the years, but I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. But about 2 years ago, I decided to get really serious with just owning it. People started calling me the Hardcore Closer, and I'm smart enough to know that if you get a cool nickname, don't fuck that up because they could be calling me Ryan P. Pants next month. And so I decided to just become the Hardcore Closer. I'm like, I'm going to own it. And I became that brand. And we started running traffic to it, and we started getting out there in PR and things of that nature, which has really helped a lot. And now at this point, I have 30,000 Instagram followers, 130,000. I don't think there's anybody other than Grant Cardone, Brian Tracy, and Zeke Ziegler in the sales game that have more. I've got more fans than Tom Ferry and anybody else out there. Frank Kern, I got more than him. Russell Brunson, Ryan Dice, all those guys. I have more, a bigger following. And I say that kind of brags if I'm cool. But on the other end, it's like I built this brand that's strong. And I built a brand, if you think about it, on me, a guy that's a 2-time felon, 3-time divorced, definitely batshit crazy. I talk about smoking weed all the time. I was just in California, and never mind, that's another. So I mean, like, you know, I was in California, smoking weed, driving Rolls Royces. I felt fancy as fuck. But I built this brand on honesty. And people said, you know what, I can get past his flaws. But it wasn't always that way. In the beginning, when I decided, you know what, I'm just going to become Ryan. I'm going to, like a lot of us, we go to work and we're like suit and tie, and we're like polished, and we talk to our clients one way, and then we talk to our friends and family a different way. And I just decided that, oh, this guy, or, you know, one of my first loan officer videos, and I know that it was either Tony or TJ that was talking about earlier, the message was, if you're not making $10,000 as a loan officer, please get the fuck out of the way for the rest of us that want to, right? Or the rest of us that are. It's like, because in this business, if you can't close 2 or 3 loans a month to get $1 million in order to make $10,000 a month, you're in the wrong business. It's just not for you. Don't take it offensively or anything. Just get the fuck out of the way. And that was back when Facebook would actually let you run traffic and you could cuss and stuff. They didn't have all the sensors and things like that. And I knew that it would make a lot of people mad, but it caused people like TJ, he's like, hell yeah, they need to get out of the way. I want more market share to step up. And so I built a brand on honesty and who I am. And you guys can do the same thing. I know Wesley here, he likes Jeeps. You know, I see pictures of Jeeps. That's a cool hobby, right? Tony, you know, you ride motorcycles. And with your son too, right? He competes, correct? Yeah, so I mean, that's a cool hobby. That's something that people are attracted to. But many times, you guys know, because y'all been involved in this group and everything for a while and seen it, especially you, because you worked with me for a long time. But, you know, most of us, we are scared to be ourselves online. Now, if you're a complete weirdo, like, just keep doing what you're doing now. But if you're not a complete weirdo, there's things out there that people appreciate. You know, at first when I started saying, you know, man, I smoke weed in the evening time, it helps me be creative and stuff like that, there was plenty of people that, like, judged me and dropped off my friends list. And I'm not telling you guys to start that, but I'm giving you an extreme example here. There's plenty of people that judged me and got off my friends list and everything else. But the right people, and it wasn't even about them doing the drug or whatever either, the right people showed up, and they're like, man, I just appreciate the fact that you don't bullshit and you just are who you are. And whether I agree with your pot smoking or not, or whether I agree with your shenanigans that you're always up to or not, the fact is that you're just you. It's actually interesting to watch, and I respect that. But we oftentimes can have like a gift, and I'll give you a pretty emotional story about myself. I wrote this book, Hardcore Closer, which is a biography, or I guess the proper term is autobiography since I wrote it myself. But I wrote this book and I sent it to my ex-wife, and I sent it to my grandparents, and I sent it to my parents. And all of them said, if you publish this book, we ain't cool no more. And the book was 100% me, you know, abused childhood, you know, running the streets, doing crazy stuff, like the things that you guys have witnessed in adult time too, but the things that, you know, I grew up in, I had a really rough childhood, and they wanted to keep it this secret. But I told them, I said, listen, you know, it's not about building a brand or anything for me, mom, dad, ex-wife, but you're 5 people, and you're telling me not to put this book in the hands. I've sold 100,000 copies of this book, you guys. There's 100,000 people out there with this book in their hand, either in digital format or in every day I get at least 20 messages like, holy shit, I read chapter 1, I didn't sit it down, I don't read books, I hate words, but this was awesome, it changed my life. I get it every day. But think, what if I tried to please those 5 people? Right? Now, I did the extreme case because, like I said, I'm weird. I had to weed those folks out of my life. God bless them, they're just not for me because they were trying to hold me back. But they're worried about what it maybe makes them look like, and maybe their little small town circle of people who aren't even going to buy my damn book anyway, and none of you guys even know my parents' name or give a shit or anything. It was an entertaining book. But they wanted me to hold back my message for 5 people, to keep millions of people seeing my message and hundreds of thousands actually getting their hands on it. And we know how books are. People hand books around and trade and things like that. And then we started giving some of our other books away as well. But if I had listened to them, I mean, that book has made me a lot of money, not from selling the book, but from getting speaking events and everything else. It's changed a lot of lives. Like, if I had listened to them, then I may not even be up here in front of you guys today. And so the reason why I tell you that is, as you're building your brand and you're becoming yourself on Facebook or social media or whatever, LinkedIn, wherever it is that you're building your brand, what's going to happen is this. There's going to be the people that show up and they say, Corey, why are you posting so much on Facebook? I think this is kind of cool, dude. What? Right? Or they're going to say some shit like, Corey, don't nobody care about your Hot Wheels collection. So, you know, but there's some people out there that do.
Those are my people.
My first business partner taught me this guy named Chris Weaver. This guy, if you look up batshit crazy in the dictionary, there's 2 pictures of him. You know, they got 2 definitions sometimes in the dictionary. He covers both of them. Love the guy to death, but holy cow. But he is a gay dude, flamboyantly gay, like pink hair and shit like that, right? Like club kid looking gay guy, like over the top. And he does not give a shit what anybody thinks about him. And he was into Hello Kitty. And we live in Texas. Now that's a fucked up combination I have to understand. Okay? And so Chris says, but you know what? Everybody who wants to judge me for those things wouldn't be my friend anyway, and I'm not into having fake relationships. Meanwhile, there's going to be a lot of people that appreciate me being myself. You just watch. And I'm like, I'm watching. I watched this guy I shit you not, people were like, I love Hello Kitty too. Like, dudes, chicks, like all these people, like, dude, you like it too? Like, but what I'm saying is there's something out there for everybody. Even obsolete people like me, felon, all the issues that I have, people still follow our brand. The reason why is not because I'm some super intelligent dude with all these education and like all these qualifications. It's the fact that I'm just real. And it's such a breath of fresh air today. We know that the news ain't real. We know the Kardashians' reality TV's not even real. We know that Shark Tank's not even real. Like, no, did I ruin that for some of y'all? Must have been like Santa Claus for I'm sorry about that. Santa's not real? Shit, that too? Fuck my bad. But the thing is, like, if you become real and you just own it, here's what happens. And I wrote an article, you can go to hardcorecloser.com, it's called The Power of Not Giving a Fuck, imagine that. But it's a great article, it's been shared I think 25,000 times, so like it's really touched people, so you can check it out on my website. But the thing is, at first people try to control you, because if you start being who you want, or who you are, then they start losing the excuses to remain this fake person that they've decided to become. And so they try to push you back into the box like crabs in a bucket. You know what I mean? They say, hey, you can't be the cool one and escape this. Think about this in my world. It's like, I was voted least likely to do shit in life, right? And now, when I started coming up, they were like, oh shit, we can't let the loser freaking beat us out of life. You know, so they started telling me, you shouldn't talk about this, you shouldn't do this. There would be people that would tell Chris, when he would post this stuff, like, oh, that's stupid, man, you're just like a big old idiot or whatever. But the right people were attracted to him, because he was himself. And I've seen plenty of people in this room over the years transform from being this well-refined, reserved person, which nobody is. Really, like, none of us are that way. We pretend. It's like being an adult. One day somebody calls you sir at age 25, you're like, oh shit, I am grown up. Huh? Like, we try to be refined, but nobody really is. We're all one way in society and another way. And people find it refreshing, especially in this society. If you'll notice, the generation above us, they're a little bit judgmental. Right? They weren't into tattoos as much. They were, all about dressing nice. The generation below us could give a shit, man. You go through the airport, these people are wearing pajamas at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They can hold their hair in 3 years. Right? I've seen them. It's like, you're in public, right? Like, what if you meet the girl of your dreams and you're in fat pants with freaking airports. But the thing is, the marketplace is craving real. There's so much fake out there, and there's so many people pretending to be this way and that way, and the marketplace is craving it. So if you get to step up and become that person and be that real person and show who you are in all your freak flag and weirdness or awesomeness or whatever it is that you're into, then the marketplace starts to respect it. And I know in my business, there's 3 phases that happens when people see me. And I don't remember, I think TJ just said this, but there was somebody else that said it this morning too. Thank you guys for always fucking reminding me of this. But there's 3 phases that come. The first thing when people see me is they go, hey, this dude with his bullshit haircut's a douchebag. Right? I get it. I've been doing thick skin. I've been doing this for a while, right? And then the second phase is because I retarget the shit out of people. They can't escape me once they see me once. It's the second phase is they see me for a little while, and they're like, all right, dude, God, he's not leaving my news feed or my Google retargeting. I'll see what the hell he has. And then they watch it, and they're like, I still don't like the dude, man, but that kind of made sense. And then after I follow him for a little while longer, they finally go, you know what, I didn't like the guy at first, but he makes sense and he just is who he is. And people respect that, and after time, it's built a brand. But here's what's going to happen if you guys decide to take the leap and step out and be who you are and stop pretending to be somebody else. The first thing is your parents, grandparents, friends, they're going to say, hey, what's up? And they're going to tell you to stop. And they're going to be your biggest critics, but they'll also be probably the last people to buy from you. They'll be the last people that you really want to attract because you've already got them in their lives. First thing I said to my family and friends was like, hey man, I know you in real life. We don't have to be connected on here. It's absolutely okay for us not to be friends on Facebook and then us be friends in real life. I'm friends with some of you in real life and I don't have room to add you on Facebook, right? That's just part of it. But a lot of people, they fear that. As soon as their mom goes, Rex, why do you keep posting about real estate and then how you're doing this, that, and the other? And then you're like, oh shit, I want to make my mom mad. I just better shut up on Facebook. But what happens, man, you bring value to the marketplace. If you let somebody tell you not to be yourself and not to attract the people that you're helping, then you're actually hurting other people. They're hurting you with the ripple effect of hurting the hundreds of people that you're going to help over the next couple of years find a house. You know, with me, if I'd have listened to them, they would have hurt me and hurt the people that were out there suffering that needed to read that book and know that there was a light at the end of that tunnel. And that would have been a huge ripple effect. So you can't let those people that try to tell you to go back to the norm make you go back to the norm. The other thing, and I'll end with this because I think we get pretty close on time. The other thing about building a brand is engage with your people. I see a lot of you, because it's my job. I social study Facebook all day, every day. I see a lot of you that make awesome posts. How many of you are in that Whip Effect Mastermind? That shit makes me proud, man. Y'all like inventing spin-off groups and my stuff and making it happen. I love that shit, man. I love it. It makes me proud. But I see you guys doing this stuff, and then you'll get a bunch of likes, but then you won't reply to the damn comments. You know, or you won't like their comments and stuff like that. And now I'm not telling you, I know you guys have loans to do, so I'm not telling you to spend all day on Facebook. But when you're taking shit, you ain't got nothing better to do, right? When you're laying in bed, instead of watching TV, you can have your phone there at the end of the night, replying to people and engaging them, right? There's different times of the day. Don't do it while you're driving. I hate that shit, man. I'm that dude that pulls up next to you and goes, "All right, get off the phone." I'm bad. Like, this dude in the Maserati just swerved over and almost hit my Civic. But the thing is, don't let them deter you. And you guys in this room, y'all are all like very talented people with a small window, in my opinion, of time to make a huge impact. Touch your people, become your brand, engage with your people on Facebook, show them that you like them. You know what's the number one thing that will get you popular on Facebook? Is stop making Facebook about you. You know, when I write my post on Facebook, I write 3 or 4 posts for y'all, and maybe 1 post about me. And nobody cares what you had for lunch, unless it was really good, Mike. But nobody cares that you had fancy French toast and stuff like that. But people are always saying, look where I'm at, look what I'm doing, look at my dog, look at my new shoes, my new car, my house, my lifestyle. People are always like talking about themselves, but here's the truth, like most of us are ignored. As human beings, we're ignored. Right? We go to talk to somebody and they're staring at their phone all the time. We go to talk to our kids and they're like, yeah, whatever, Dad, I just want to do this. We go to talk to the wife and, you know, she's distracted too. Oh, honey, not now. I'm trying to do this, that. And you go to talk to your boss and he's on the email while he's talking to you, paying half-ass attention. Like, nobody's paying attention to people anymore. There's too many distractions. When you get to be the person that pays attention to them, even if it's replying to the comments and engaging with them there, but when you make your post about your audience, it changes everything. Everybody's saying, look at me. You get to be the person that says, look at you. I'm looking at you. And so here's how you do that. First, you need to figure out who your perfect customer is. Many of you say, I'll do a refinance, purchase, it doesn't matter, home equity, reverse mortgage. Man, those are all different people. And I'm sure you don't like this guy, Tim, that was just up here. Apparently, he likes 203K loans. And he's really innovative and good at them. He sees all the angles, right? He's found that his perfect customer is somebody that wants to get that 203K loan, and he knows that he can manipulate the financing structure around that to make damn near anything happen for him. But he knows that's his perfect customer. Many of you don't have a whole lot of business because you haven't identified exactly who it is that you want to do business with. And you get that scarcity mentality. You think, well, if I only do refinances, then I'm turning down all this purchase business. Or if I only do purchases, then I'm turning down this refinance business. Or if I'm only doing VA, then I'm missing the FHA business. That's not true. Ryan Chapman, you in here? How many VA loans you do last month?
45.
Yeah. Were they all refinances?
43.
Well, hot damn. Right? He's figured out who his perfect customer, a veteran that needs an Earl. He's figured it out. He's dialed in. And he's doing more loans than 90% of the room because of it. And I don't say that to discourage anybody in here, but I say that because there's an abundance of whatever it is that you decide that you do best. 7 months ago, I decided that it wasn't best for me to be programming computers and making funnels and all the things that I've done. My best use is writing for Forbes and Addicted to Success and Entrepreneur and all those, and Hardcore Closer. And that's what's like the driving force. So I decided that, hey, you know what? I'm not going to do all the other stuff anymore. I'm going to outsource it, and I'm going to focus on what matters most. It's because I knew that my perfect customer didn't care about the coding and all that shit. They just want to read the articles, so that's what I want to focus on. So if you don't take anything away other than catch today from what I've shared with you, tonight, go home and describe the perfect scenario for you to do with the perfect customer over and over and over again. If you don't think it exists, look around. I've got a room full of you here. You guys have the same shirts, haircuts. Fuck, you guys almost look like a bunch of twins in here. They exist, and none of you are from the same spot. But it's because I identified who it was that I could serve in my marketplace. And then guess what? I put myself out there to attract you guys, and I put my advertising out there to attract you guys in my brand, and then you show up. It works. It'll work the same thing whether you're doing 100 freaking Earls in a month, or whether you're doing 20 purchases in a month, or whatever it is. So that's it for my my lesson today. I think my time is up. Thank you guys. First of all, I've got books at the back of the room that are free, right? Who does that? Like salesmen giving away free books? An example of my life here. I've got books at the back for free. You can grab them from my staff. They're probably going to talk to you about buying some shit. They are hardcore closers, just fair warning. But I brought these fuck your excuses poker chips with me. So let's see. I got to give one to the big man over here. Oh, yeah, sorry. There you go. Ashley, Maya, who we got back here? Stacy, of course. Well, that was meant for Stacy. Sorry. There you go, Rex. I'll give you one in Dallas. How about that? Since I didn't see you at the last Break Free Academy, and my man Brent, I'll give you one in Dallas, man. We're neighbors. Or y'all just come up to my room later. Never mind the smell. That's it for me, man.
Any questions?
Thank you guys very much.
Would you mind taking like a couple questions?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I thought it was out of time.
Yeah, you got time. You got a couple questions.
Oh yeah, I'll answer some questions.
Yeah, just a couple questions. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask Brian?
What's the room number?
Hey, they hooked me up, man. I've got like an office in there and everything. It's G362. This morning, housekeeping. Hotel security. Oh shit. That's right. Just knocking on my neighbors because they missed their wake-up call. I'm like, oh, they don't ever do that shit.
Anybody have any questions they want to ask
I
Brian?
got a quick question. You gonna be here in the morning?
Yeah, I'm here till Sunday.
So I'll give
Tip your
Brian
waiters.
tons of credit. The guy that's gonna be here in the morning, Josh, $85 million guy, you and me and 20 other guys in a room 2 years ago, and the inside scoop on new homes in 12 South kind of came out, and the whole idea was, I want to attract this guy. And so it's so funny, flash forward, he's going to talk tomorrow. Good dude, got his flaws, but man, he wants to do $100 million, buyer team, him. He's at Keller Williams right now in Austin with Gary Keller and some Kool-Aid Fest, and then he's flying out tonight to be here in the morning. And the funny thing is, I'm beating my head against the wall. What made you decide to reach out to us? And here's the interesting part. Half of his team, and this is the question, half of his team, his ISAs, and you guys have to have this around the country, these ISAs in real estate departments are using systems where people are, looking at houses, and they're eavesdropping, and then they're calling. Mm-hmm. And the ISA departments are calling and getting tons of rejection because they never get that change. It's not what made you reach out and fill out this form, because the person's not even expecting the call. Like, they're logged into the system. So I'm sitting here in my brain going, if I could take that one tweak and try to train him, like, why are you on conversion? Because the leads from conversion, eventually 1 in 300 will convert. But a lot of times that ISA is like, oh, they hung up on me. Oh, they hung up on me. Because they're coming in with that, I'm looking at you, and they never got permission. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so,
and they did get permission, however, to the consumer, they don't have the permission.
Yeah, because the consumer said, oh, my passcode is my cell phone.
Right.
And they didn't say, oh, clicking here means some ISA person for $4 an hour is going to be calling me and then asking me questions and kind of invading my privacy. And I just was like, that resonated with me going back to the basics. There's tons of ISA departments in real estate divisions that are struggling with this. And if 99% of us are loan officers, if we can figure out how to overcome that to help that realtor, because he's spending a ton of money and he's beating his head against the wall. And a lot of these realtors are thinking, that's the way I build my buyer team, is just throw 3 people in a room, and if they fill out anything, and they, he's starting to understand funnels, but he's really big on conversion. I'm sure there's a bunch of other sites that have the same feature. So Thoughts?
Well, so recently we had to make some big shifts over to hardcore closer when you're getting 250, 300 leads a day and there's only 8 of us now there's only 3, but there was only 8 of us to be able to handle them. Everybody loses their mind. Day 1, it's like, hell yeah, 100 leads. Day 2, they're like, fuck. It's day 3, they're like, I'm out. And so we had to put automation in place. There's a program called Agent Legend. Just tell them I sent you. There's a program called Agent Legend.
He may come tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, the guy's local here. His like son was born today or daughter or whatever, so he couldn't make it. But they have it's basically slide broadcast, slide dial, and texting all in one. So they'll do the work of the team. Okay, so no matter if somebody comes in, they get a text, and it's like, hey, thanks for reaching out. Conversion, we'll just say, and here's a link to do whatever. And then they'll get a slide dial, which is like, hey, it's Brendan over at Conversion. We just want to let you know that we got your information. If you need anything, hit us up. And that way you're driving them to come back in closer to you. You're letting what we call the robots take over. And Agent Legend's really inexpensive, like $90 a month. It does text, slide broadcast, slide dial, all that stuff. And it makes everything easy because someone can come in, it'll tie into Conversion. Somebody comes in there and it does the automation. You see, I was having my team, like ISAs, do everything, like get on the phone, beat the phone, text message, email. They were getting worn out. So what I had to do was I had to make it to where my automation took care of the leads and made it to where only people that stuck their hand up and said, I'm ready to talk to the sales team. And because of that, we added an extra $115,000 in sales last month with a third of the staff that we did. Now the next step is you could have, and Fish and TJ will remember this from way back in the day, but you could have the survey approach. It's like instead of calling and saying, hey, I'm a real estate agent with Keller Williams over here, with Kool-Aid Williams over here, and I like that. And but so you could say, hey, thank you very much for filling out the form at Hot Homes in Highland Park. Here's what we'd like to do. We'd like to ask you 6 quick questions. That way we can make sure, A, if you'd like nobody to call you back again, that doesn't happen. B, we want to make sure that you're getting tailored information. And C, I want to find out if you have any questions for us as well. Would you be willing to take a survey for a couple minutes? Because survey screams Harold from HR. It doesn't scream the hardcore closer, right? So people will let their guard down. Or you could say, like when I did Lending Tree and Lower My Bills leads. I would buy, not Lending Tree, I buy Lower My Bills leads, and they're pretty shitty too. Right? You get a lot of people that don't answer because there's 15 people beating their phone down. I wait 2 or 3 days. I wouldn't even call the lead immediately. It's wasting my time because I'm competing with the other 5 people they sold them to. I'd wait 3 or 4 days, and I'd call them and I'd say, hey, it's Ryan Stewman, the Customer Satisfaction Department over at Lower My Bills. I have your information. I understand that you've been in touch with other loan officers so far. If you don't mind, let me ask you a few questions to find out about your experience with those other loan officers so that we can improve our program over here. What was your interest rate that they gave you? What are your closing costs? And at the end of it, I would say, well, awesome. Well, it looks like you're getting a good deal with Brendan over there, but what if I could put you in touch with, looks like you have platinum status and you might be able to even get a better deal, and I'll send that shit to Fish, my assistant. Do people put their guard down? And then they think I'm somebody from HR that just like, hey, well, what if we could save you even more money? You're like, shit, the news gets even better. And we have all your information. Which before is like, well, what rate did they give you? Well, I just want to see what you got. Like they put the standoffish, and now all of a sudden chips are in your world. You have something?
Going forward, when I get back into town, I'm going to convert my drip campaign. I'm going away from email and toward text.
Yep.
And the drip campaign's just been educational stuff. As a drip campaign in real estate or mortgage, I don't want to send constant calls to action. Because you meet somebody, you don't know exactly when they're going to buy. It might be 0 months, might be 18
It's
months.
going to be 6, yeah, 6 or more, yeah.
Yeah, in the average. And so we want to stay in front of them. What is your thought on the ratio between informational or calls to action if you're going to do that by text, email, in a drip campaign in real estate?
Well, 2 things. I like PS. If you ever read my emails, they always have a PS. It's like all this, like tons of information. PS, buy my shit. Yeah. By the way, I offer this shit for sale, you damn kangaroo. Right? But here's so like that's always good. You can always have a call to action. You could just be like the PS. Oh, by the way, if you're looking for houses, you can use this to schedule an appointment or whatever, right? So you could give them information and do that, so that you don't have to necessarily change up your strategy. But I will say this: you're on to something that's important that I bring this up. I saw a study the other day on Adweek. If you guys don't go to Adweek, it's adweek.com. It's like the best advertising. I get all my stuff from there, like funnels, all this. I figure out good graphics. It's like a badass advertising website. It's ad week, yeah. So they basically break down all the top performing ads and tell you why they're good. It's a free site. Well, they broke down Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. I'm not going to get political on you. I can't stand either one of them. So but they broke down their campaigns because we know that politicians, especially when they're running for president, have some of the best marketing campaigns and the best money and financing to be able to hire the brightest marketing minds, right? So they were comparing the emails that Trump and Clinton were sending out. Trump was sending one email. This is like recent, like a week ago. Trump's sending one email a week out. Hillary's sending 3 a day. Who, Trump? Well, so in this particular campaign, they opted in one campaign each, and he was emailing once a week, and she was emailing 3 times a day, right? And so what happened, though, is that Trump, they didn't realize this, but I do because I'm on all their lists, because I'm watching their marketing, is that Hillary Clinton's not texting, but Trump is texting 3 times a day. Because here's why. I want you guys to think about this for a second. He's bitched about Google censoring them and all this stuff, right? So who owns Gmail? Who owns Yahoo? Who owns MSN? So they can send all this stuff to spam. I know when I get an email from Hillary Clinton, it goes to spam, right? I follow them because I'm watching their marketing stuff. But what Donald Trump and myself know, because this was in my phone funnels program, is there ain't no spam filter on text. Right now I have an email list of, it's about 34,000 people that are subscribers to Hardcore Closer. When I send an email out, maybe if I'm lucky, 12 to 15% will actually open it. And it's because spam filters and promotion tabs on Gmail and everything else. However, if I send a text from Agent Legend, 100% pull through. 95% red rate. Because there's no spam filters. Now, I will say this, and I am not an attorney. I have an 8th grade education, so take that for what it's worth. But there are FTC laws where you can't be just blasting people's texts that you don't have permission. However, in the event that you have a funnel and they're giving you their name, their email address, and their phone number, then you absolutely do have their permission. But I just want to be clear that you don't want to go by. There was a dude the other day that was talking about going and buying a list of realtors from the NAR and then spamming them through text. I'm like, dude, you're like banging on the FTC's door, man. They don't like that stuff, man. That's like bogus. So don't do that. But if you have even if you have a warm list, like I know Brandy's got a list of about 14,000 people she's done business with over the years, like she's sending them slide broadcasts and text and stuff like that on a regular basis, how she works it, because she knows there's going to be like an 80% chance of them getting denied on the email side because of spam, but there's going to be a damn good chance that they're going to read my text. Think about it, you guys get an email, what do? You're like, eh, right? But you get a text, you got to read it, you got to make sure it's not important, you know?
Right.
So, one more?
One more.
question?
Yep.
Unless nobody has one?
Ryan, you do know that the way to get closer to retirement, penthouse, empty nest, quit reproducing, right?
But damn it, it's so fun. Have you seen my old lady? Golly, it's fun.
Good people in Trojan are in business for a reason.
That's right, that's right. Man, I gotta build a phone room, man. Travis and them ain't cheap. Thank you guys. Thank you.
All right, guys, let's take a quick 10-minute. Got some drinks over there if you guys want to snag something. Got Mr. Pollock for lead pops. It's going to be awesome. Let's try to make it 10 minutes or less.
So just real quick,